On December the 31st, 2019, the World Health Organization (WHO) received reports of pneumonia of unknown origin in the city of Wuhan, China. In early January, Chinese authorities quickly identified the cause as a new strain of coronavirus. The disease has been spreading to other continents, such as Asia, Europe, and America. In Spain, as in the rest of the world, it has caused significant changes in all the areas of the lives of its populations.
The first case of coronavirus in Spain was diagnosed on January 31st in the Gom Island, and the second case was confirmed on February 10th. 2 weeks later, the virus arrived to the peninsula, and from March 8th, the number of cases increased dramatically. Because of this, the Spanish government took various measures to avoid the spread, such as the statement of state of alarm, the close of borders, the distribution of food and first need products at home, the air transfer of parents who need it, and others. Simultaneously, 3.8 billion euros were given for health services. In view of increases of cases, nowadays on the date of November 6, they talk of a perimeter close in Madrid.
The Spanish industry, as well as that of the whole world, has been strongly affected by the recent outbreak of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, or better known as coronavirus. Such impact has brought the nations to take strict measures as the closing of borders and the imposition of a quarantine to its populations. Such restrictions have generated employment fall of the market, economic crisis, a reduction of the production in the industrial area. In view of the emergency that the country is experiencing, many companies have stopped their usual production and have shown solidarity by changing their business line, manufacturing functional inputs for the health sector. However, the textile industry, among others, fell by 17% in the second quarter.
In a survey conducted by Garari of 400 small self-employed enterprises, the impact that this health crisis will have in Spain was investigated. 83% of those survived affirmed that the crisis derived from the coronavirus will significantly affect their business model, while 14% of companies believe that they will be little affected by the current situation. One of the most important results of Garari survey is that more than 60% of respondents believe that only the most digitalized companies will be able to overcome the negative impact on their businesses.
The employment rate rises to 16.3%, with 355,000 more employed. The release from confinement in the second quarter of the year only allowed the Spanish economy to recover half of the destroyed employment. There are just over 500,000 employees who lost their jobs due to confinement and have not yet recovered it. In the first quarter, there were a total of 3.37 people. Over the course of April to June, employment was widespread in all sectors of activity, but especially in services where nearly 817,000 occupied in the second quarter are lost. The services sector in Andalusia was the most affected, with a loss of 816,900 places and a level of unemployment that exceeded the national.
Tourism in Spain has been highly affected by COVID-19. Due to the vertiginous spread of this virus, the Spain government has taken various measures that have paralyzed tourism in Spain, causing harsh economic consequences in the country. The most crowded places now have an unusual image, completely deserted and in silence. The tourism industry suffers a critical situation collapse, currently considering a blank year 2020 in tourism. In Spain, tourism represents 12% of the gross domestic product and corresponds to the supply of 13% of employment.
The health crisis caused by the coronavirus has altered the lives of millions of people around the world, creating changes in all areas. And education is one of those that is suffering the most marked consequences. Closed schools, transition from face-to-face to digital teaching, and uncertainty around the usual process of the education system. Online education has caused an increase in inequality in learning process. Students who lag behind and those belonging to the most disadvantaged sectors of the population have been certainly affected by 20% according to the new studies, either due to the lack of technical means and the lack of support from tutors in the training process of the students.
In Spain, people go to Paris and then return home, where they live very closely with their parents or grandparents. And that is where contagions are triggered. Family celebrations are responsible for 33% of cases according to the study Grandparents in Europe. Unfortunately, in a nightclub in Cordoba, a group of people celebrated the end of the exams. More than 100 people were infected with coronavirus. And in Lida, a birthday ends with 20 infected.
Spain has one of the highest coronavirus mortality rates in the world, with more than 17,000 people and the highest rate of infected healthcare workers. 87% of the deceased were over 70 years old. 7.8% of the deceased are between 60 and 69 years old. The rest of the age groups under 60 years have lower mortalities, 2% between 50 and 59 years, 1% between 40 and 49 years, and less than 0.4% in the rest of the ages.
Let's stay together, but from afar. We are Phoenix, we are UPCI.